Welcome to Highways and Hometowns, the podcast that takes you on a high-speed journey through resilient infrastructure, economic growth, and celebrates the beating heart of Texas, as well as hometowns throughout America. Join us as we dive into the triumphs and challenges of communities, adapting and innovating amidst the twists and turns that go into the extraordinary achievements that shape our world. Get ready to build knowledge, lay some concrete foundations of success, and ride the waves of progress on one of the most engaging engineering podcasts in the Lone Star State. This is Highways and Hometowns.
Welcome, welcome. We are back for episode number 3 of Highways and Hometowns by the Texas Concrete Pipe Association. But don't think this is just about concrete pipe and steel. It's about a lot more than that. On Highways and Hometowns, we're going to shine a spotlight on the heartbeat of Texas, which is pretty much a vibrant tapestry of towns and cities and all kind of intricate places throughout Texas that make up the fiber of the state. It's pretty much the soul of the great state. We're going to explore stories behind the growth, triumphs and challenges faced by communities, public works as they adapt and innovate and navigate through the twists and turns of progress. I'm Steve Noel-Fortune, Director of Technical Resources with Winker, and without further ado, introducing our host, the Concrete Cowboy himself, Patrick Tarleton. Patrick, how you doing?
The Concrete Cowboy nickname is going to stick forever.
It's going to stick for a long time.
I'm going to have people in
It's
all
you.
50 states saying, "There's the Concrete Cowboy." I can already tell. I like it.
Patrick, you look sharp. I got to tell you. Why can't you? I mean, I can't fill my suit like you. Do you get that custom made?
Don't let this guy fool you. Don't let this guy fool you at all.
Look at that. I mean, that's give a round of applause. We gotta give the man a round. I don't know where my button is for that. But
they got me out of jeans and a sport coat and into a suit today.
Yeah.
I'm digging it.
Yeah, I'm glad. So we're in Waco, Texas, at the Texas Public Works Association conference, and in Waco right now, there's record heat. The heat wave, we're at like what, up around 110, close to 110 today?
The heat index was upwards of 110 today.
It is hot, but thank God, in this conference hall, they had it cranked down this morning to, I kid you not, 35 degrees, so I had to put the sports coat on. Otherwise, I'd be in my polo shirt.
Y'all know this was recorded on Wednesday, and on Monday there was this game, and he's been wearing purple and gold and sporting the LSU Tiger for 2 straight days. I think he's worn the same shirt all weekend throughout the series, and then they pulled out this really close game to win it at the end, and he's just been living life.
Hey, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
It was a great game. It was a really good game. Hey, you were rooting them on, too. Don't know why.
I was on them. I was loving it.
There you go. So how's it going, Patrick?
Fantastic.
You having a good time at the Public Works Association?
I am. This conference is, without a doubt, the best public works event in all of the state of Texas. They bring everybody from all walks of Texas, every place from Beaumont to Buda, all the way out to El Paso, Amarillo, all the way down to McAllen. Everybody's here. Everybody shares their ideas. We listen to some great speakers. We talk about some important topics. Everybody goes home a winner.
Good. As long as we're all winners, that's what counts. You know, I will say this is my first time in Waco, Texas. So, coming here, I didn't know really what to expect. I've never been here. I've been to a lot of other towns in Texas, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and some of the smaller cities, but haven't been to Waco yet. And so originally I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I will say it's got a little Baton Rouge vibe to it. I don't know what it is. There's another town outside of Baton Rouge called Denham Springs. So I told a friend of mine, they said, "What's Waco like?" I said, "Well, if Denham Springs and Baton Rouge had a baby, it'd be Waco, Texas." and it's
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's cute little town.
Okay. So your first time in Waco.
Yeah.
You've seen the Brazos River. You crossed over it.
I did.
There's a heck of a bridge going across the Brazos River.
Oh yeah. It's quite. There's some fun facts.
The Dr. Pepper Museum.
Yep.
You got to love you some Dr. Pepper if you live in Waco, Texas.
Exactly.
What else? Texas Ranger Museum,
Texas
and we're not talking about the ball team, folks.
Hall
we're talking
of Fame
about
museum.
Yeah, we're talking about the actual gun-toting, pistol-wearing Texas Rangers right here in Waco, Texas.
Yes, sir.
What else?
And back to that suspension bridge. So apparently that was a landmark. It was built in 1870. So it's been around quite a while. It was the first suspension bridge across the Brazos River, played a vital role in connecting Waco to other parts of Texas and facilitating trade and transportation within the region.
For those of us that have been in Texas their whole life, Waco used to be the only stop between Austin and Dallas.
Yes.
This and Hillsboro. That was it. And if you didn't get gas in one of these places, you were driving a long stretch of 35. It's changed a little bit. There's this McLean Stadium over there at Baylor that is the most beautiful stadium in all of college football.
Yeah.
I'm a Longhorn, but I got to say that, it is a beautiful stadium.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
well, talking about the stretch between the cities and Waco, like in Dallas, the one thing they have now in between the two cities are the Buc-ee's.
Oh,
the Buc-ee's.
There we go.
I've been to Buc-ee's kind of one time, and this time I had to make a second stop at Buc-ee's. And the first time I went, I was kind of like, I don't get it. It's a Walmart gas station. But then this time I kind of spent some time in there, and it's kind of a tourist attraction. It's really cool the way they have a layout. They're actually making fresh food, fresh sandwiches, barbecue, and what is it? The Buc-ee biscuits or the nuggets? What is
Beaver Nuggets.
Beaver Nuggets.
We'll get him to Texas eventually.
Yes.
Don't worry.
I'm
We'll get
learning.
him here.
I'm learning. So on this episode 3 of the Highways and Hometowns podcast, Patrick, you want to take the pleasure of introducing our next host?
Sure. We have Amy Burlarley-Hyland coming in, Director of Public Works here in Waco. We're gonna get her all mic'd up and have her headset on.
Round of applause. Ooh, how are you?
Loud.
We scared her with the
It's
round
loud.
of applause. We're sorry, folks.
We'll bring it.
You did, yeah.
Can you hear us okay?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So we have the distinct pleasure of having you on to talk about Waco. Now, we were laughing and joking about Waco a little bit ago and telling the fun facts about Waco. Give us something interesting that we missed.
The suspension bridge that you were talking about, that's a Roebling Bridge, same company that built the Brooklyn Bridge.
Wow. Okay.
There we go.
Oh,
All right.
sorry.
That's all right.
There we go. All right. Okay, so let's dive right in. What's happening in Waco, Texas? Are we growing? Are we expanding?
Holy cow, what's not happening in
I
Waco,
love
Texas?
that. I
We
love
are
that.
growing by leaps and bounds. I can't believe the development and the growth in the 5 years I've worked for the city of Waco.
Where were you before Waco?
I worked for the city of Killeen for a short period of time, and before that I worked in private industry.
Okay, great. In Waco, where is it expanding? Is it the entire city kind of just growing out from the middle, or one area favoring another?
Well, for a long time we were growing outward, but now we're redeveloping down in the downtown core, which is a wonderful thing to see. So I'm sure you experienced it coming into town,
Right.
how crowded it was and the construction traffic and how many roads we have that are being reconstructed on our development projects. We have Baylor's building a little football or basketball stadium, right down the street from where we are today doing this podcast.
Let's talk a little bit about the revitalization of the Waco downtown. Right where we're standing used to be kind of the only thing downtown, surrounded by some pretty rustic buildings.
Yes.
Now, we didn't mention Magnolia, but Magnolia's down here, and then you've also got just this beautiful little walking area of Waco. Now, we were talking about on our first podcast, you can just leave the hotel, leave the convention center, and walk for what seems like miles and run into little shops, boutiques, restaurants, etc. How's that worked from a public works perspective? Are you having to do much rehabilitation?
Oh, yeah. When you think about it, all of our infrastructure downtown is original. So we have our GIS plans go back to as-built from the turn of the century, from the 1800s to the 1900s. So we have a lot of older infrastructure. We have a lot of old water line, sewer line, brick storm line. So we're having to redo a lot of that as we revitalize our downtown.
How? What are some highlight projects that are in the chain coming up that you guys are looking forward to that you'd like to brag about per se for Waco from a standpoint of development, infrastructure, things to highlight?
Well, from a development standpoint, we are redoing our whole riverfront downtown in conjunction with the Foster Pavilion. So there's a whole mixed-use development and restaurants and housing
Right.
and entertainment venues that are under construction right now as we speak.
Right.
We also have the old Floyd Casey Stadium that's sort of midtown, downtown.
Okay.
That is Floyd Casey was taken down when they built the McLean Stadium you were talking about earlier. And in that area, that's also going to be a large mixed-use development with different levels of housing between single-family, multifamily, and also retail. And it will eventually connect with a mixed-use trail that goes all the way to downtown and connects the two areas.
Okay, like hiking, biking, and
Yes.
recreation. Oh, very cool, very cool. That's awesome.
Similar to when you're out, when you walked by the suspension bridge, if
Right.
you had taken that river walk, you could take that all the way down to Cameron Park Zoo. And along the way, you would have seen 20 animal sculptures in a sculpture garden as you walk down towards the zoo,
Wow.
representing the different animals that we have.
That's incredible.
That's pretty impressive.
All
Pretty
attracting people here to Waco, Texas, and it's growing like a weed.
It is. It is.
impressive. How much would you say Waco has grown in the past 5 years?
Oh, geez. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, the housing market's really tight.
Right.
People are moving in all the time.
Good.
And business is growing, and it's a great thing.
Definitely a different landscape than 10 years ago.
Oh,
huh?
yeah. Yeah. Actually, I lived here around 99 to 2002 and
Okay.
then moved away and came back, and I couldn't believe how different it
Wow.
was.
Where'd you move away to when you left?
I got hired by a company in Pennsylvania.
Okay. How was that? A little different, Pennsylvania, and then coming back here.
Yeah, it was a shock.
Yeah.
Actually, the day we left Texas, my husband looked at me and said, "This is the biggest mistake we've ever made in our lives." And it took us 15 years to move back, but we got back.
Oh man. Well, welcome back.
Thank
welcome
you.
back. I'm sure you're glad to be back.
I am.
That's good. What are some challenges from a standpoint of public works goes? And, I know you hear a lot of discussions. You hear these keywords, resiliency, sustainability. So from a standpoint of, resilient infrastructure, whether it's roads, highways, storm drain capacity with rains. And so, what are some challenges that you guys are looking at and, come across, need to address, are addressing?
We have we have a lot of floodplain
Right.
in Waco. So we have 5 major streams, and we just finished updating all of our floodplain maps and our 100-year flood studies.
Okay.
So there's a lot of areas in the city where we need to do some extra thinking about how are we going to construct there, because they would be inundated if we got a 100-year storm.
Wow. Okay. Right now, what is the storm drains? I guess your biggest ones. Storm. What are they designed for? Are they designed for the 100-year, 500-year? Do you know?
No.
Not if they were not if they were in the 1800s
Not
and
if they were back
1900s,
then.
like you said earlier.
Yeah, we're looking at updating that standard, but it's 2-year, 5-year.
Okay.
Depending. So yeah, it's really not adequate, particularly as the climate is changing and you get more extreme weather.
Uh-huh.
Right now we're in the extreme drought side. At some point, we'll probably be back to some big rain patterns that we'll be coping with in the future.
Right. Yeah. Especially with all the changes, the heat and the new hurricane season and so on and so forth. Go ahead, Patrick. I'm sorry.
No, we talk a lot about in our industry about resiliency. That's a major buzzword for us. It's a major buzzword for everybody in the infrastructure business. But we do have an interesting dynamic happening. A lot of our infrastructure was built more than decades ago, right? Some of it's pushing centuries ago, and it's interesting that it seems to be shuffling forward at an incrementally fast pace, that the rehabilitation and revitalization of these systems is needing to happen. Are y'all seeing a kind of a domino effect of we really need to get into our system and start to rehab more than you have maybe in the past?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. When I came to work for the city, though, they had just City Council had just made a commitment to infrastructure, and particularly streets. So the year before I came to this city, the capital program for streets in the city was $3 million.
Okay.
And now we're running over $40 million a year.
That's wonderful.
Trying to catch up with our backlog, and I'm sure you're aware if you've driven around on some of our local streets,
Right.
we have a pretty significant backlog.
Right. What's your thoughts of, and this is I popped in my head. I remember in the news there was a lot of talk of high-speed rail, coming to Texas and so on. They were thinking about it. I mean, what's your thoughts on the whole high-speed rail thing? That's supposed to connect all the cities, Dallas to Austin to Waco to to Houston. Do you think it's needed, necessary? Would it be an improvement?
I think it would be one of those, if you build it, they will come things.
Got it.
I mean, I really think, even though we love our cars in Texas
Yes,
and we want to drive where we want to drive when
Exactly.
we want to drive there, I could see where we could probably get really used to that convenience.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Especially maybe in the Central Texas corridor. You
Yeah.
know, we talked about that little stretch from Austin to DFW area. There's so many commuters, and now the traffic really funnels through Temple, Waco. That's we call it the northern bottleneck, right? I live in Austin, and so you just know that it kind of slows down here because you could build the biggest Highway 35 could ever imagine here, and there still would be the bottleneck, you know. And so I love your little comment about the high-speed rail. I think innovative solutions like that might be a path forward for everybody. And I drive an F-250 truck. Everybody here knows what kind of truck I drive. So
it's not just an F-250 truck. This is the extra of all extra F-250 trucks.
That's right.
I walked by the F-250 truck yesterday and looked over at another guy we know, Ron. I said, Patrick needs a bigger truck. It took up half the parking lot. It was a good-looking truck. I will say that.
So wait, what do you drive?
What do I have? A company car. Oh. No, I'm kidding. I drive a Ford from a company car, and then I have a Mazda as well. Okay. So tone down a little bit.
How about you? Now we have to ask.
Well, we're talking about cars.
Well, my family's a little schizophrenic. I drive a BMW hybrid.
Nice.
My husband drives a TRX.
Love
And
that.
when he's not driving the TRX, he's driving a Humvee or a military 5-quarter CUCV.
Really?
Yep.
There we go. All right.
Patrick wants his number.
I'm like,
You got Patrick's attention.
please, at the end of the podcast, leave your
Patrick-
husband's number
We need
on the.
We need a
cocktail
play
table.
date ASAP. You know, it'll be a good time. Yeah, going back to the rail real quick, and I asked that question because so I went to Europe last year for a honeymoon. We went to London and Paris, and then the rail system I was so impressed with, fascinated by. Like we took the train from London to Paris, and it was the most seamless, clean, it was so effective. And then even within the community, like the rail system, the subway system within London, it was so effective, so clean. It was nice to see how when it's operated correctly, how well it works. Now, I currently live in the Bay Area, and San Francisco Bay Area.
Right.
The BART system. It's an impressive system, but it has a lot of work that needs to be done. It's not the cleanest. It's not and then you go to New York. still. And then, but you don't see like the high-speed train systems like you do in Europe. And when I saw it over there, I'm like, man, that's U.S. needs to catch up a little bit. It would be very very beneficial. Like you said, when you build it, they will come.
Yep. I agree.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna before we let you out of here, what's your favorite thing happening about Waco right now from a public works perspective?
I've been in public works pretty much my entire career, and it's not a sexy thing to be doing. It's not the things that people think the most about, but I think the best thing about being in public works is that people use what you do every single day, and you get to improve the lives of the people who surround you every day. But in terms of projects that I'm excited about downtown or in the city, I'm really excited to have our riverfront develop. I think that's going to be a phenomenal thing for the city. And I'm really excited that we're just plugging along with all the day-to-day blocking and tackling that needs to be done with fixing the roads and the bridges and the storm and the water and the sewer. Because if you don't have all of those things, you don't have a vibrant community.
That's right. Okay, well then I'm gonna flip the coin on you. And at this conference, we share experiences of our challenges, and we meet those challenges head on. Interdepartment, what might be some of the things you're seeing here that are challenging for you from a department perspective?
The biggest challenge has been how the construction market has changed since COVID, and material supply issue problems and not being able to get what you need, and the longer lead times for things like traffic signal poles or other materials or electronics. And it's forced us to rethink how we package our projects and what do we do. And also, contractors have a lot less reliability with their workforce. It's hard to get people. It's hard to keep people. And with all of the scheduling uncertainty, makes it hard for contractors to price work.
Right.
And to be competitive. And they don't want to, they have to price risk. So the risk that they're pricing is much higher now than it has been.
Right.
So we're constantly looking at ways to reduce that risk for them. So for instance, we're trying to strip out a lot of the subcontractor work and let the paving contractors pave.
Right.
And then do a separate contract for the flat work so that everybody can do what they can do and bid it for their schedule and when that they can control. Right now, the paving contractor can't necessarily control when his sidewalk contractor is going to be there to get the work done, and it makes it tough on everybody. So we're looking at a lot of different ways to do things so that we can try to make it better for all of us.
Well, you are not alone in those plights. We have heard that consistently, and I'm excited for the forum here to be able to address some of that. Some of the speakers later in the conference are certainly highlighting some things that maybe are potential solutions for all of us in those areas.
Absolutely.
And time.
Yep.
You know, we're going to need some time.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Amy Burlarley-Hyland, did I say it right?
You did.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on. It was a pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you to the City of Waco for hosting this Texas Public Works Association conference.
And at least you're not the rhinestone cowboy, right?
I can never be the rhinestone cowboy, please. I hope you did not start something. If you did, I'm going to come back up here.
I'm saving that for the next one.
We're going to have to to go and talk about that
That'll be
mistake.
the next episode. I will have the rhinestone concrete cowboy on. Well, thanks a lot for joining everybody for this episode 3 of Highways and Hometowns. We still have a couple more coming up later in another podcast. We're going to have, is it City of San Antonio?
City of San Antonio and Bexar County.
And Bexar County, we'll have them together, sharing a mic. We'll have Patrick and maybe another cowboy hat. And what was the hat, Amy, that you said that he should? There was a cowboy reference you called him?
The rhinestone.
Yeah, we'll
cowboy?
have the rhinestone cowboy out. You know.
Do you have a rhinestone hat here?
There is
I'm
a
sure we can
pink
find
rhinestone
one.
hat
We have
over
all
there that
kinds
I
of
will be
accessories.
wearing to start the podcast
Yes.
next
It'll
time.
match your
It'll
tie.
match the tie.
It'll-
There you go.
Amy's knocking it out
I think
of
I
the
just
park
found
today.
my new co-host. Ladies and gentlemen, Highways and Hometowns, I'm Steve Nilfortion.
Patrick
Patrick
Charlton.
Charlton. We'll see you next time.
Thank you all.